traders, we are looking at the Nasdaq. Nasdaq had a nice close into Friday after a good few days back in the last week. This is daily on the right, weekly on the left. We are sitting above that resistance, so if that pulls back to this level here and gives a buy signal, then that is a potential for 4,500, and that pullback area is 43.70. Contrast that with the Nikkei, however, and Nikkei suffered back at end of last week, so that bodes well for the yen pairs, because if the Nikkei is coming off, the likelihood is we will see a continuation of the drastic easing policies in Japan, so that is good for the yen pairs. So, but at the moment the US market is looking very strong. It's a 4-day week in the US. It's Independence Day on Friday, so we have non-farm payroll on Thursday in the US, and other data expected. We have some Chinese data, manufacturing data in the early part of the week, and Euro data expected next week. It all looking to be more positive with Euro rates on Thursday. Okay, so let's dive quickly into a couple of the forex charts. Let's look at the Euro on the yen side and the US. Now I shorted this Euro US shorted it here on Wednesday, started scaling out a couple of points here on Thursday, left some on the table and just got stopped, as on Friday we just broke Thursday's open and closed higher. So that bodes well for the euro. So you can see on this weekly chart it's 2 weeks of higher closes, but we are in a lower resistance area. But if they can buy it for 2 weeks, what's to say they can't keep buying it? If, as I just said, we're expecting better data on the euro anyway. This is the EMAs look different on this chart than my normal ones, but we've got a lot of resistance up here anyway. So if we start pulling back to 36 and hold, start closing above 36.70, then we could potentially get back to 137 at least. And if you look at the fibs on this last sell, you can see I've got all the support marked off down here, the resistance in the 50 EMA and the monthly pivot, is up there at 37, 36. And bear in mind we are we're all but at the end of June. So we need to see where the current monthly pivot comes up. But the current monthly pivot is likely to be influenced by this fib level. So a 50% retrace will put that at 37.50. On the top of the fib zone we'll put it at 38. So I would start looking for these levels now. Now we're closing above this 36 fib, this fib level here. I would expect to see a potential retrace maybe into 38. So it's 150 points above. So let's see if that 136.20 holds. Euro yen, and that is a tougher call. It's a hammer-like bar, so if we might just break 138.50 and close up into that monthly pivot at 139.50 area. There is a lot of support here, but equally a lot of selling. Pulls back and we sell, pulls back and we sell, but close up. Okay, so if we can break above 138.50 and hold, and particularly close above 139, then this has got the potential to pull back nicely as well. We look at the fibs on the last move on that one. then you can see we need to close above 139, which could lead the way to move back to 140 and higher. Alright, but I think that euro yen is a tougher call. Pound, however, data on the pound is expected to be slightly weaker this week. So pound yen was struggling last week. It's a new high, close below it in the weekly, and that's certainly some weakness in that daily chart. We're only closed at 172.75. 172 obviously is the big support level. So if we drop down 75 points or just nick underneath it and hold, that could open the gates for a push back up. In the meantime, that is looking like we wanting to come lower. Bit of a head and shoulders up there. The neckline is here. So I would stay out of that in the early part of the week and see where we land. Pound US is higher, but we are getting a little tired. A lot of resistance up there. If we come back and touch 170 and hold, then we could work our way up. Otherwise, start closing under here, and we could come and retest these lower levels. And let's face it, the 50 MA is some distance away, and the RSI is high, particularly on the weekly. So I'm going to be very wary of trading that in the first part of the week. And on the back of that, the euro pound, which is a slow mover, but it is in a box there. I'm actually looking for this to roll over. I would like this to come higher, tick higher into this week, up there at 80.60, and then potentially get another leg down. Okay, so expecting a good week for the euro, a little bit of a rougher ride for the pound, but then as we get higher, I think they will start to sell it and potentially head down to this 77.60 area. Okay, let's just look at the US dollar yen. Not doing it. That's struggling up here. Inflation in Japan is ranking higher than the US, and that's showing through in this. Inflation is a key mover in forex markets because it's a question of we're in a situation in these markets where it's a question of who's going to raise rates first, and I'm going to do a piece on that, and when I finish doing that I will post a webinar event around that. But in Traders Roundtable we will start to cover that. Okay, so we've got an Aussie rate decision this week as well. We close above this 95, and we could start heading for parity. Look at that on the weekly. You can see this is a massive area of resistance. So that close above 95 could open the gates for a move at least to 96, 97, and then all the way back up to 98.50. So pullbacks are just getting bought. We've had 4 or 5 weeks of buying in this. So Aussie is looking stronger here. And with the gold holding up and potentially getting ready for another leg, then that will help as well. Let's look at commodities. A lot to do on commodities. Let's look at gold first. Weekly, yep. So it's a hesitant bar up there. I still think we need to come down and test 13 or anything under 13, 12.95 would be great, because I think we are getting ready to go on gold, and the fibs on gold is looking good. I would expect to see 14.50 as we head into late summer. I think we could 13.80, 14 is going to be a big barrier to get through. But if we can break that, then could get all the way up to 14.50 and plus. Okay, because that is looking good. Could stay in this apex for a while, but longer term I think we will bust up. Right, and let's look at the wheat. The hammer in the weekly. Look at this RSI. We had 3 dips with this RSI. Each dip is getting weaker. Each dip is getting weaker. So the last one was divergent. I think a pullback to 588 could see that get bought. So far, any peaks up have been knocked down. So don't load up on that. But that is a weekly hammer. So that's the reason why I'm attracted to this, because I think the selling is over. And that goes for corn. The other ones I like are orange juice. Now, orange juice had 2 weeks of heavy selling on this. So again, if you're going to trade this, don't load your boots up. You could scale in. If this, we've got a stopping bar there. And I'm just looking across to that low here on March 25. If we can, if I'm going to buy 147.75 to see if I can at least retrace to 150, 155 and higher, because I believe that if we can close above that trend line, I'm looking at this high here and this high here, start closing above this monthly pivot, I think we can do some retracing, because that low let's get these prices, the highs of December last year and February this year. This is providing a good base. We just closed above it. That's why I like orange juice so much. Right, stocks. Let's start with US. Apple. Talked about this last week. I think Apple's a pullback to 91, because I think we're going to go to 100. If you get an entry at 91.10, it's a front run 91. You're going to need a stop under 89.70 to see if that can go to 100. Then we've got looking through this. We go to Amazon. This could just roll over. I'm trapped between 50 and the 200. Leave it, but if that's not closing above 330, I think that'll open floodgates to push back higher. This is a seasonal stock. Yeah, if you look at summer last year, we ran up into July, pushed back into late August. In late August, it's found support Massive support level there at 280. And that ran to 410 nearly. So this is the last move. So 321 is a big support area there, and I think we're seeing some potential institutional buying there, and we can prove that if we get a close above 325. But it needs to prove itself. So you could scale in now with a small position, don't risk much money, and then see what happens. End tap. I think this could get very interesting if NTAP closes above 37. So that's a watch. I want to see if that closes above 37. QCOM. It's a little high, but I'm going to leave QCOM. I think that's too high. I'm interested in Whole Foods Market, WFM. Now this was a $65 stock, it's currently 38.70. So what I want to see is I'm going to box this. I'm going to box that. So we've got a hammer-like bar here. We close above 39. I mean, I will put my stop on the 38.40. But I think that could hold and run up. That's had quite a lot of buying volume this week. Had a rough time on Thursday, Friday, but a great start to the week. I think we're just testing some very interesting levels here. So I like WFM. Again, you could scale in. You could start nibble at a small position here, an insignificant position with money you can well afford to lose and forget about. And then if it closes above 39, you can start to take another position, and so on. You can swing and sing in Whole Foods if you think that is going to move up. WYNN, WYNN. I want to see if that fills the gap. So I'm looking for 204. I want to see that hold before I move in. I like eBay. Again, this is a good time of the year to buy eBay because it gets heavily, use starts to increase as you run up to Christmas. I think that could bust up. I think this is a nice box play. We're at the low end of the box, and so I think that's a buy at 49.80, and if we close above 57.80, that could go up and break these highs at 60. And I think that is a great wedge potential on eBay. UK stocks. Centrica. I want to see that close above 315, and I'm going to start to nibble on that one. Seasonal stock. Yeah, people don't need to buy gas at the moment, but come the winter, they will start to buy it. So, if Centrica can bust out, I think that's potential institutional buying, but I need proof. So if we start closing on a 308, I'm not going to touch this. Start closing about 308, and then I'll look for lower levels. Start closing above 315, I will start to buy on Centrica. The miners, I like AAL. A bit of a scrappy stock. I want to see that close above 1445 on AAL. Let's look at some other ones. BHP, Billiton. Okay, potential wedge breakout. That's a weekly chart. I would definitely hold out for a lower position in 1905 and see where that one wants to go. Glencore is another one. I want that to close above 325. This has got more potential. Yeah, this has been a good stock. So I want to see that close above 330. If it does, I think it could run. Okay, so I'm staying out. Just want a little bit more evidence that this can pick up. Some of the miners have been struggling with unrest in some of the mining regions, so I don't want to dive into this until I get more proof. Let's look at Randgold. Randgold's already gone. Alright, other ones I like. Not much else. Okay, so let's have a quick scan. So the bank's had a hard time. Stan, and Chartered is right down there. I'm very happy to buy weak stocks, but I want proof. So 12.10 would give me proof that that is ready to come up. Barclays has had a tough time. Gonna push that aside for now and wait for a higher close. I'm gonna give it a couple of days. And what else have we got? Let's leave it. Okay, so that's all I've got for you. Like I said, Traders Round Table will be looking at the issue of interest rates across the globe and the race to predict who is going to be the first to raise rates back into this year into next. That could have important impacts for various markets, commodities, forex of course, and the indices, and so we're going to start to pick that apart and plot our way through that. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Join me for Traders Roundtable. If you haven't got login details, I'm happy to give you a free entry on that, so you can try on it, and see you at the next update. Happy trading.